Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to test the Eden Emulator on a low-end PC and answer one of the biggest questions people have been asking. Can it actually run well on older hardware? Most of the performance videos you see online are recorded on high-end gaming PCs with powerful CPUs and graphics cards. But what if you're using an older computer or an entry-level GPU? Can you still enjoy a playable experience? That's exactly what we're going to find out today. I'll also share some optimization tips that can help you squeeze the best possible performance out of your system, so make sure you watch until the end. Before we jump into the benchmarks, let's briefly talk about Eden Emulator itself. Eden Emulator is still under active development, and with every new update, compatibility and performance continue to improve. It's important to remember that this emulator is still evolving, so not every game runs perfectly yet. Some titles may have graphical glitches, shader stuttering, or performance issues, while others already run surprisingly well. Now let's take a look at the test system. For today's video, I'm using the following hardware: CPU, 13 Gen Intel i5 13400 FMF GPU, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070. Super 12 GB, memory 16 GB RAM, storage JAMESDONKEY JD10241 TB. Keep in mind that your results may vary depending on your hardware configuration. If your system is more powerful, you'll likely see higher frame rates. If it's older or less powerful, expect lower performance. Let's launch the game. If you notice stuttering or freezes during the first few minutes, don't worry. This is completely normal. The emulator is compiling shaders, which puts additional load on the CPU. Once the shader cache has been built, gameplay becomes much smoother, so don't judge performance based only on the first launch. Now let's talk about performance. Lighter games can often run between 45 and 60 frames per second, providing a very enjoyable experience. More demanding games usually stay between 30 and 45 frames per second, depending on the scene. The most graphically intensive titles may drop to somewhere between 20 and 35 frames per second, especially during heavy effects or crowded areas. Of course, these numbers depend heavily on both the game and your hardware, but with the right settings, even lower-end PCs can achieve playable performance. Now let's go over the most important optimization settings. First, keep the internal resolution at 1x. Higher resolutions look better, but they also put a much heavier load on your GPU. If you're using an older graphics card, staying at 1x will usually provide the best balance between image quality and performance. Next is the graphics API. Most users will have the choice between Vulkan and OpenGL. If your graphics card has good Vulkan support, it's usually the better option and often delivers higher performance. However, some older GPUs may actually perform better with OpenGL, so it's worth testing both to see which one works best on your system. If you're trying to maximize FPS, disable anti-aliasing. The visual difference is relatively small, but the performance gain can be noticeable on lower-end hardware. You should also reduce or disable anisotropic filtering if you're struggling with performance. One setting you should definitely keep enabled is shader cache. Although it increases loading time during the first run, it dramatically improves smoothness during future gameplay sessions. Windows optimization can also make a difference. Enable game mode. Set your power plan to high performance. Close unnecessary background applications. Keep your graphics drivers up to date. And if possible, install your games on an SSD rather than a traditional hard drive. These small changes can sometimes improve performance by several frames per second. So, what kind of hardware do I recommend? For a comfortable experience, I would suggest at least an Intel Core i5 6th generation or a Ryzen 5 1600 paired with a GTX 1050 Ti, GTX 1650, RX 570, or something with similar performance. 8 GB of RAM is the minimum I would recommend, while 16 GB will provide a much smoother overall experience. Integrated graphics, like Vega 8 or Vega 11, can run some games, but don't expect miracles with more demanding titles. Overall, Eden Emulator is shaping up to be a very promising project. It won't magically turn an old office PC into a gaming machine, but with the right settings and realistic expectations, it's already capable of delivering a surprisingly enjoyable experience on modest hardware. Since the emulator is still being actively developed, Performance and compatibility should continue to improve with future updates. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you found this performance test helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more emulator tests, optimization guides, and gaming content. Also, let me know